A warm welcome to all of you in the sixth tutorial of the chapter, The Rise of Nationalism in Europe of Grade 10. In our last class, we have discussed about the revolutionaries, and I want to have a few recap of the last lesson in a quick way. That the fear of the repression of the conservatives, people who wanted to bring the monarchy system back in Europe, and they have brought also after the Treaty of Vienna, we all know. So due to their fear of the conservatives, these liberal nationalist people were underground for few times so that they can take actions on the right time. The memory of the French Revolution nonetheless continued to inspire these liberal peoples. Means the memory of the French Revolution was inspiring these liberal nationalist people, and the sense of nationalism were among them, were alive among them, but they were underground, and they were making what? They were making secret societies, chupe societies. They were making in European different states. And what were the obvious, what were the real desire or to make of this, what was the function of these secret societies? The function was to train revolutionaries and spread their ideas. And let us see what were the ideas of these liberal nationalist people. They wanted what? Freedom of press, spread of the idea of nationalism, and the most important, they wanted to oppose monarchy. They wanted freedom and end of those autocratic, means dictator type of rule. They wanted to end those. And one of the most important one, they wanted to create a nation state where they can share common language, culture, tradition, as well as history. So these were the ideas, or you can say the visionaries of these secret societies of the liberal nationalists. They wanted all these things. And if you really want to become a revolutionary, if you are a revolutionary, it means what? That you are committing that you will always oppose monarchical forms of government, and that type of government which was formed after the Treaty of Vienna, that we know, Vienna Congress. They have brought back all the monarchy system in Europe. So if you are revolutionary, then it means that you are committing that you will oppose monarchical forms of government, and you are also saying that you will fight for the liberty and freedom in your life. So that is all we discussed in our last class. Let us see who were the people involved in forming those type of secret societies. So one of the name that is coming in front, that is the name of the Giuseppe Mazzini. Let us see his image also. The most important one, the most revolutionary person who really helped broach about many secret societies in Europe at that particular time. Let me see. Giuseppe Mazzini, you can see over here. He is there, and the founding of the Young Europe in Bern, that is in 1833. They have found this particular secret society named as Young Europe, and this is a print by Giacomo Mantegazza. That is all, my dear students. You can see over here, Giuseppe Manisi is involved there. He's writing something. So they are founding what? A new society they are founding over there, and that image is showing that one. Let me see. Let us discuss and know about details about this Giuseppe Mazzini. He was an Italian revolutionary. He was from Italy, and he was revolutionary from there in Italy. He born in Geneva in 1807, and later on he became the member of the secret society of Carbonari, a revolutionary group. He became the member first. Means if you want to start a particular thing, then you will have to learn its techniques, its responsibilities. That's why he became a member of a secret society first, and the name of the secret society was Carbonari. That is a revolutionary group. He joined the secret society, and later on he founded two more underground societies along with, as he was the member always, as he was already the member of the Carbonari, he also founded two more underground societies. And first was in Young Italy in Marseilles, and then Young Europe in Bern. The members were like-minded young men like Giuseppe Mazzini. Means the members were also having the same type of mind, that they wanted to oppose monarchy system, they want to create nation states, and they want freedom of press, they want freedom in life. So that were the like-minded young men, all got together from Poland, France, Italy, and even German states, and they were all working together under these two underground societies named as Young Italy in Marseilles, and then Young Europe in Bern. So my students, please remember the name of these two societies, and let us discuss what was the belief of Giuseppe Mazzini, what was he believing, and what he wanted to do for Italy. He believed in the unification of Italy. Unification means he wanted the other states of Italy to be united together and form a greater country. That's why he was believing in the unification of Italy. Unification means unifying or getting united all the states, all the different or separate state of a particular country, all together under the same umbrella, under the same platform. So that was his belief. He wanted unification of Italy. Italy must be a separate state or country. He wanted that Italy must be a separate country where they would share Italian language, Italian culture, Italian tradition, and Italian history. None other than Italian things. None other than Italian language, culture, tradition, and history. That is the belief of Giuseppe Mazzini, as he was revolutionary from Italy. So he was thinking of Italy nowadays at that particular time. That Italy had to come with a single unified republic. See what was his thinking, and really we should praise and we should put our hats off to this particular thinking of Giuseppe Mazzini. He wanted that Italy should come up with a single unified republic, like a single unified republic country, like we are having India as a republic country. So here in our country, all the states are together under the central government. But like that, Italy was also one of the belief of Giuseppe Mazzini, that he wanted that single unified republic within a wider association of nations, means different nations. He wanted to club the different nation or different state together and make a single country known as Italy, where they could share common language, that is Italian language, culture, tradition, and history. That was the belief. And he was believing that this unification of different states together and clubbed in one, this unification can only bring the Italian liberty. That was his thinking. If the Italy want to get the liberty, get the privileges, want to grow, then they must be unified into one. Following his model, later on, secret societies were also set up in Germany, France, Switzerland, and Poland, because people who were influenced, they were affected with this type of secret societies. They also wanted to bring liberty in their country also. That's why this type of societies were also set up in Germany, France, Switzerland, and Poland. And really a great work by Giuseppe Mazzini over here. And Mazzini oppositions, the people who were against Mazzini. So Giuseppe Mazzini's opposition to monarchy and his vision of democratic republic frightened the conservative people. They must be frightened because these conservative people were having the thinking of bringing back the monarchy system. They wanted censorship on media, all these things they wanted. Means these conservative people, they are against the democratic type of government. So these conservative people thought that Mazzini is their greatest opposition. They were frightened. They were frightened with the opposition of monarchy from Mazzini's, and even his vision of creating a democratic republic in other countries of Europe. So conservative people were really afraid of Mazzini's, and they wanted to have some action against them, against Giuseppe Mazzini. And let us see what one of the conservative declared about Mazzini. The Australian Chancellor Duke Metternich, you will have to remember, my dear students, who was the Australian Chancellor. It happens to come in exam many times in MCQ also. So remember it. Not Australian, the Austrian Chancellor Duke Metternich described him as the most dangerous enemy of our social order. The Austrian Chancellor, means one of the conservative. He was saying that Duke Metternich, that Chancellor was saying that Giuseppe Mazzini is one of the most dangerous enemy for the monarchy system. He declared that. He described him as the most dangerous one in Europe who could bring back democratic republic or who is against the monarchy system. So he described him as the most dangerous one. So you will have to remember, my students, who described Giuseppe Mazzini as the most dangerous enemy of the social order. You will have to remember the name. Who was the man? Austrian Chancellor Duke Metternich. Remember it, my dear students. Now, our next topic is about the age of revolutions, that is from 1830 to 1848 in Europe. The age of revolutions. And let us discuss few things regarding this age of revolution, that is the era where there were many revolutions, and we will have to cover in our syllabus few of the revolutions which occurred in between 1830 to 1848. Now, let us first discuss what were the causes of those revolutions, why the people were revolting, what were their thinking, what were their ideas. Let us see the reason why they were many causes. What were the causes of this revolution? The first cause is what? Liberalism. That people wanted liberty, they want freedom, they want equality, and these ideas of liberty, freedom, equality, and that all these ideas were very popular throughout the Europe, and that's why there were many revolution in Europe at that time, and that's why we are learning about them. And the second reason or the cause of the revolutions were nationalism. People were feeling praise or proud of their nation. They were feeling love towards their own country, their own culture, and their traditions, which also popularized at that time. So people were taking care or thinking about their culture, tradition, and their country. They were thinking that it is their country and they should rule there. No one should be ruling their country from coming outside. So nationalism means what? Desh Bhakti. That was also one of the causes of those revolutions. So first cause was liberalism, and the next one was nationalism. That's you can define in this way. Now, where were the ideas of liberalism and nationalism spread out in Europe? Where were these ideas spreading out? Where were the ideas of this liberalism and nationalism spread out in Europe? Let us see. These ideas spread out in different regions of Europe, such as Italian region, Germany states, Italian and Germany states, and the provinces of Ottoman Empire. That is quite important, my dear student. Provinces, I'm telling, the provinces of the Ottoman Empire, Ireland, and Poland. All these spread, all the ideas of this particular liberalism and nationalism that we have just discussed now spread out throughout Europe, in the Italian, German states, and even in Ottoman Empire, means the regions of the Ottoman Empire, Ireland, and Poland also. People were just getting these ideas and they were just joining in the revolution at those particular time because they wanted liberty, freedom, equality, and they were having love towards their country, culture, traditions that were really very popular at those time between 1830 and 1848. Now, who were leading these revolutions? कौन थे लीडर? ये रेवोल्यूशंस को कौन लीड कर रहे थे? Let us see. The revolutions, these revolutions were led by the liberal nationalists. Means I told you that they have formed secret societies. So those liberal nationalist people, those who wanted freedom, equality, liberty, and those who wanted to end the monarchy or the autocratic type of rule, they are the people, liberal nationalist people. They belong to the educated middle class people. They were educated one. They were from the middle class. They include professors, school teachers, clerks, members of the commercial middle classes. So these were the people, my dear students, who were involved. And these commercial middle classes people were from industry, industrialist people, even industrial workers, professors, school teachers, clerks, and these educated middle class people were leading this revolution because these professors, these school teachers, the clerks, they were educated one. So they were having the ideas of the revolution. They were having the ideas of liberty, freedom, equality, which they were propagating among the different people of Europe, among the different organization of Europe. So these were the main people who were leading these revolutions throughout Europe between 1830 to 1848. Now let us come to our next topic, that is the let's brush up your knowledge. Means if you want to answer, you want to make notes, then you should solve all these questions in your notebooks and your notes will be ready. And if you want any answer, Any guidance regarding to this, any questions, you can write a comment in the box and I will send you the answer also. So no need to worry, my dear students. Who will solve these answers? You can solve, or you can ask me. I can guide you to the answers of these questions. Take the screenshots and solve all these questions. It will be very handy for your board examination, my dear students. Now let us move towards two such revolutions. Let us go through few of the revolutions. So we are going to learn about or discuss about two such revolutions that occurred between 1830 to 1848. Number one is what? July Revolution. And the second one is what? Greek Revolution, my dear students. Now let us start with the July Revolution. July Revolution means it started in the month of July in the year 1830. So what is the next and the first one? The first upheaval, यानी सबसे पहले क्रांति का जो चिंगारी है ना, जो चिंगारी जो होता है, the first upheaval of क्रांति took place in France in July 1830. That is after French Revolution. We are learning after French Revolution. We are learning. So that first upheaval took in France in July 1830. That is after French Revolution. After the Treaty of Vienna, what happened? Overthrown of the Bourbon kings. Bourbon king means Louis 16, Louis 17, Louis 18, and they were the kings from belonging from the Bourbon family. So what the people did after the Treaty of Vienna in the year 1830, they overthrew all these Bourbon kings throughout the Europe. That were those who were managing the throne after the Treaty of Vienna. So these people, the liberal nationalists, revolutionaries, the liberal revolutionaries, they overthrew these Bourbon kings from Europe, which were there in the year after the year of 1815. That is after losing of Napoleon Bonaparte in the Battle of Waterloo. So after that, they signed a Treaty of Vienna in that particular year, 1815 only, and this 1815 to 1830. These 15 years, they all ruled there. These Bourbon kings, Louis the 18, Louis the 17, Louis the 18, they ruled. But 1830, what happened? This liberal revolutionary people, they overthrew this Bourbon king once again from Europe. Let us see what is next. They set up constitutional monarchy. Who set up? Liberal revolutionaries people. They set up constitutional monarchy system. Means what? Yes, they accepted the monarch. They accepted, okay, there will be a monarch, but the monarch will also have to follow the constitution. So they framed a new constitution and they forced, or you can say they asked the king or the monarch to follow the constitution. That is known as constitutional monarchy system. Means there will be a monarch, but the monarch will also have to follow the constitution. Means the monarch will not be able to do anything what he wants or what she wants. They will have to follow the constitution. And Louis Philippe was made the head of the constitution of France. You can see in the year July 1830. This is Louis Philippe. You can see his image. He was made the head of the institution at that time. Okay, let us move ahead. The July Revolution started from where? It started from Brussels. That is the capital of Belgium. You might have learned about this Belgium and Sri Lanka in your chapter Power Sharing also. And that video is also uploaded in this channel. So you can go through the chapter Power Sharing also. It will help you learn a lot. So let us come back. The July Revolution started from Brussels, that is the capital of Belgium, which was under the United Kingdom of Netherlands. So Brussels at that time, that is Belgium. Belgium at that time was under the United Kingdom of Netherlands. Means they were not independent country. It was not an independent country. So that the July Revolution started from the capital of Belgium, that is Brussels, and the revolutionary spread throughout the country, which helped Belgium to break away. Which helped Belgium means the revolution spread throughout the country because of this upheaval in France also. So at the same time that July Revolution occurred in Belgium also, and the revolution spread throughout the country in Belgium, which helped them to break away from the United Kingdom of Netherlands, and finally Belgium got independence also. So that is all from July Revolution. You'll have to remember, my dear students, about the overthrown of the Bourbon kings. And the second point was set up of constitutional monarchy. And the third one is, remember the keywords, my dear student. Louis Philippe was the head of the constitution. And this is also very important for your MCQ. Who was the head of the constitution? And you will have to remember the name Louis Philippe. I showed you the photograph also. And the revolution is spread throughout the country in Belgium. And finally, they got independence from the United Kingdom of Netherlands. You can see the United Kingdom of Netherlands was also controlling Belgium at that time. So they also had to give up and give freedom or independence to Belgium due to this July Revolution. Now let us come to our next topic, and that is, my dear students, Greek Revolution. That is the Greek War of Independence. Now, Greek means what? We are talking about Greece, a major country. We are going to talk about and discuss about the Greek. So the Greek War of Independence, like we can say the Indian War of Independence. So like we are saying, the Greek War of Independence instilled the nationalist feelings among the educated group of Europe. Among the educated means elite group or the superior group of Europe. Means when the war started for independence in Greece also, so the nationalist feeling is arose and it's spread out across Europe. None of the part of Europe were left and from this nationalist feeling, because the Greek War of Independence was on. Greek had been a part of Ottoman Empire since the 15th century, my dear students, and we are talking about 1800, 1820s we are talking about. So 15th century, and this is the 19th century, 1821. So from last 300 to 400 years, Greece was under the control of Ottoman Empire. You can see a long time, my dear students. And the growth of revolutionary left revolutionism, nationalism in Europe sparked off. Spark का मतलब एक चिंगारी ग्रीस तक पहुंच गया है ना. किस चीज का चिंगारी? The चिंगारी of the spark of the nationalist feeling also spread and reached Greece also. And the struggle for independence among the Greeks also started, which began in the year 1821. So they also started to get freedom from the Ottoman Empire, and nationalist Greece got support. They got support from few people. Let us see who supported nationalist people of Greece. Let us see the other Greeks living in exile. Means the other Greeks who were not in Greece, they were not living in Greece, but they were living in other countries. So they also supported this nationalist of Greece so that their country get independence from Ottoman Empire. Like we can say that many Indians are not living in India, they are living outside India. Many of them are living in Canada, America, Australia, and in other countries. So they are the people who are not living in India, but they can still support India in the time of need. So that was the time of need for the Greece, and the Greeks people who were not in Greece also, they also helped and supported these nationalist people who were trying to get independence from the Ottoman Empire. Along with that, these nationalists in Greece, they got support from many West European countries. Now let me show you these many West European countries. They are Belgium, Netherlands, France, Great Britain, Ireland, Spain, and Portugal. They were having sympathies for the ancient Greek culture. यानी इन लोगों के दिल में क्या था? रहम था. They were having sympathy for the ancient, for the old Greek culture. That's why they also helped the nationalists of Greece to get independence from the Ottoman Empire. Even poets, artists, they also started and collecting or gathering public opinion also to support its struggle against a Muslim empire. We all know that Ottoman Empire means the empire of the Khalifa of the Muslim empire, you can say. So poets and artists, they also took part in this nationalist movement and the national movement of Greece, and they started collecting or mobilizing or gathering, you can say, public opinion to fight against this Muslim empire and get freedom from the Ottoman Empire. The English poet Lord Byron is a great man. He was a great man for his country. The English poet Lord Byron. Let me show you his image also, my dear students. Let me show you Lord Byron image. Yeah, he's the English poet. You can see a very handsome man, and he was an English poet. And what he did, he organized funds, and later on he organized funds, and later on he went to fight in the war also. That is the Greek War of Independence. He went to the war also, and unfortunately he died there of fever in 1824. He died of fever, but he did a great job for his country. We should salute him for his nationalist work, for his country. Lord Byron, he organized funds also for the people, for the nationalists, and later on he went to fight also in the war. But unfortunately, he died there of fever, because of fever in 1824. But his sacrifice, his martyrdom has not gone in vain. The Greece finally got independence with the help of the Treaty of Constantinople, which held in the year 1832 in the month of February. So remember, my dear students, that Treaty of Constantinople helped Greece to get freedom or to become an independent nation. And what was there in the treaty? That treaty witnessed the participation, means different great powers of Europe, they all participated, that witnessed the participation of the great powers, Britain, France, and Russia, and the Ottoman Empire. They all released Greece to become independent nation. That witnessed, that Treaty of Constantinople witnessed the participation of the great powers, Britain, France, and Russia. And they all participated. Britain, France, and Russia, they all participated and helped Greece to get independence. And finally, the Ottoman Empire have to release, have to give independence to these Greece people, and Greece was finally got independence after this Treaty of Constantinople that occurred in the on February 19, 1822. So I think that that is all in this class, in this tutorial. More when we meet in the next class, my dear students. If you are new to this channel, then please subscribe and share this channel link to all your friends who can also get benefit from this. Do not forget to subscribe the channel, and please comment and like the video also. That's all for today from my side. Stay at home and stay safe. Thank you all. Bye bye. Take care, my dear.